All right now. Good morning. Good morning. This or good afternoon. I keep forgetting this afternoon. Yeah. I've been doing my presentations in the morning sometimes and I'm just kind of throw it off this morning. But good morning. My apologies. I dropped my notes. This is Dr. King coming from 800 Link. And I pray that everybody is staying out of this heat. It is hot here in Texas. What y'all think about that? But we're going to go ahead and get started today. Today we're going to discuss servant leadership. And if you are like myself and leadership theories and leadership styles and the different leadership styles are something that you subscribe to, and interest you in life, then servant leadership should be one of the leadership styles that you've heard of. But as with any presentation, I try to let everyone know what the presentation is about. And servant leadership, this presentation is for anyone seeking to understand what servant leadership is about and potentially hoping to become a servant leader. We'll talk about the pros and cons and the definition, where it came from, and things of that nature. But servant leadership is something that is close to my heart. It was one of the theories that I used to work on and complete my dissertation. So I'm considered an expert in servant leadership theory now, just a different leadership style. And we'll jump right in with my 30 minutes. I don't want to waste any time. So servant leadership was really a concept. Theories basically come originate from concepts. And so Robert Greenleaf was an executive for AT&T in the 60s and 70s, 1960s and 70s. And he came up with the notion of caring about your employees first. If you care about your employees first, then they will in turn take care of the company. It wasn't about profits first, it was about putting the employee first, and the result would be increasing company profits. Well, that concept morphed into what is called servant leadership. And so, servant leadership means that a leader is a servant first and a leader second. The focus of the servant leader is to make the needs of the followers first priority. So, your followers could be, say, you're a company executive, your followers are your employees. You're a coach, your followers are your players, your parents, anybody else that looks up to you in that sport. It could be, maybe you're a nonprofit leader, your followers are now your other nonprofit volunteers. It doesn't matter who your followers are. It's just that as a servant leader, you are a servant first and a leader second. So with the servant first mindset, leaders are always tested to ensure that they are putting their followers needs first by asking themselves the following questions. So as you lead as a servant leader, one of the first questions that should always stay on your mind is, do the people you are leading grow as, whatever you are? So if you, like, he worked at AT&T, or I'm a coach, I use the coaching references because I don't know what he did back in the 60s. I wasn't even born yet. But for me as a coach, do my players grow as people? Do my coaches grow as better coaches? Do my players grow as better athletes? Do the parents grow as better spectators and fans up under my leadership? I have to always gauge that as a coach and a program owner. Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, freer, more autonomous, most likely themselves to become servants? Are you teaching them to become servant leaders themselves? You know, are they healthier? There's more to, when you lead, there is more to life than profits. There's more to life. Let's jump into this. There's more to life than getting likes on the internet. There's more to life than, you know, extrinsic, validation from other people. And then, me. So we discussed intrinsic and extrinsic forever. Intrinsic as self validations, fulfilling goals that you have created within yourself. Extrinsic things are things that come from outside, validation and material things. Extrinsic is outside, intrinsic is inside. So do you teach the people around you by what you do to be healthier, wiser? Or are you teaching them how to become more educated? And educated doesn't necessarily mean you're going to school. Let's first figure that out when you start talking about leadership. You can pick up a book and read so much and ask questions and inquire and critically think to get educated. Having a degree does not mean that you're educated. That just means that you were taking that education and you allowed it to enroll and teach you skills, hard and soft skills, to do things in the workforce. Degrees are normally needed for the workforce. Okay. So when you're saying, does your leadership style, does being a servant leader help the people around you to be wiser? Are you teaching them? Okay. Are you teaching them to be better than where they were? Are you going to leave them better than the way you met them? Okay. Is your presence in their life giving them better, making them better, giving them more hope, more than they were when you met them? Okay. Are they more freeing of the mind? Okay. When you're becoming, and when you say you are a servant leader, when you lead people, you should not lead to control. By the very definition of leadership, makes Genghis Khan a leader, made Hitler a leader, but it also made Martin Luther King a leader, also made Malcolm X a leader. So the definition of leadership itself is kind of a control thing, but what you do with your leadership skills determines how well the people that are followers under your leadership become. You don't want people that you can control and treat like zombies and just guide them around, by the nose or whatever. You want people to be freer to go out to learn to be who they are. Okay. Are they more autonomous? Autonomous means that you're working up under your own self and you're not worried about somebody looking over your back. The difference of micromanaging. Remember, with micromanaging, somebody is looking over your shoulder, telling you what to do. Always, I need a report for this. You need to tell me what you did. Da, 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 da. That's micromanaging. Micromanaging tends to rub people the wrong way because it tends to tell people I'm not capable of doing something without you staring at me every 5 seconds. Autonomy means you're giving somebody the freedom to be able to go out and spread their wings and know that whatever you've asked them to do from a leader, follower, or a boss subordinate position, that you're allowing them, you trust them enough and have confidence in them to be able to go out and do whatever it is you told them to do without stressing about whether or not they'll get it done. Okay. Servant leadership. Um, is it allowing them to understand that the servant leadership theory can help them to be, to whatever they go on to do in life? If they go on to become leaders, are they going to themselves want to use these same servant leadership skills to better the people that they come around and come in contact with and lead? Okay, so it becomes a domino thing. The third question is, what is the effect of the least privileged in society with your intervention? Because a lot of times when we lead, we are leading in organizations where we are dealing with marginalized people. There are very few people who are in leadership positions where they're at the very top and they're making the big bucks and they are only talking to their board of directors, or they're only talking to a handful of people. For the majority of us who are organization owners and runners, our leadership style causes us to be in contact and in the midst of so many different types of people. But the majority of the people we're going to come in contact with are people who are from marginalized societies. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So as a servant leader, what are you leaving them in a better position than you met them? Always the first question that you want to ask. Are you leaving a person that you come in contact with in a better position than you left them? Okay. So when you start talking about the marginalized people and the less privileged, are you making their lives better by your leadership, or are you making it worse? Okay. Then will they benefit or at least not be further deprived? That goes into that question. When you come into contact with those people that are marginalized and are the least privileged, are you making their lives better with you being in the midst, or are you making it worse? Because that's really the only way it can go. You're either going to do good or you're not. You're either going to make things better or you're going to make them worse. There is no gray area there. You're either doing well or you're not. Period. So the mindset behind these questions, thus the logic of servant leadership, is this: if the needs of the followers are met, the goals of the community or organization will be subsequently fulfilled. If you do right by the people you are leading, everything around it, the ripple effect, everything, it makes them better people, better citizens, better parents, better family members. It's a ripple effect. And they will go out and they'll touch and do well. And then those people they touch will go out and they will touch and do well. So it's a ripple effect. What you are doing will better not only them as people, but their household, their neighborhood, their community, their state. Okay. Servant leadership is also a holistic qualitative leadership theory. Qualitative is like things that aren't measured, but you know they're there. Certain qualitative terms are love, respect, caring. You can't measure those things. It's really hard to define them, but they're there. Qualitative things are things that can be measured. How many feet did I do this? How much money was given to show love? People tend to sometimes not want to, or they don't, I don't say that they don't know how to really qualitatively show love. So quantitative, my apologies, I said the wrong thing. Qualitative is holistic, though. That's loving and caring and not respecting. Quantitative is what's measured. I don't know how to necessarily, help this organization, but I can give them money. And people know that. So you'll start to see organizations where, you have Giving Tuesday or National Giving Day or fundraisers, because some people don't know what they can do or may not have the time to volunteer or help, but they will donate money. So that's quantitative. When you start saying, how do we quantitatively measure this? How much money was given? How much time was invested? How many people were volunteering? But when you start talking about servant leadership and qualitative things, that's love. You can't quantify love. You can't quantify respect. You can't quantify care. See what I'm saying? So that's kind of the difference, if that helps. So there are 11 characteristics or skills that can explain what a servant leader is. And so one of the characteristics, number one, is listeners. Servant leaders are listeners. They want to understand what's going on with you. They're the ones who's going to sit down and say, hey, let's talk and find out what's going on with you. They're not going to automatically say that you're a kid acting out in class that, it's because you're low income. They're going to understand, hey, I need to sit down and speak with this kid because maybe they're hungry. Maybe they're having problems in the home. Maybe they don't get along with the teacher, or maybe the teacher doesn't quite know how to teach them correctly. Everybody has a learning style that they learn best. So they are listeners. Or we are. I consider myself a servant leader. So we are listeners. We're empathetic. We understand things that are going on. We don't just jump and make rash and harsh judgments about people and things. We're human. I get it, but when I see things, I don't just make a rash judgment. Especially, I deal with kids, so I have to be very careful that I don't make a wrong judgment about a kid, because a kid acting out could be for very many reasons. It could be something as they're hungry to they're being molested and they don't know how to tell anybody or say anything. So they do what they do best to get somebody to give them attention, and that's to act out. So you have to be, give some empathy when you're dealing, servant leadership, when they're dealing with people. You have to be aware of what's going on. You have to understand what's going on where you live, what's going on in the world today, what's going on in schools, what's going on, in society, because you can't be empathetic and you can't be a listener if you're not aware. Okay. Persuasive. Servant leaders are persuasive. We are very good at persuading people to do things, and it's out of care. And once again, remember I said, do you leave the people that you come in contact with in a better position than you met them? Well, when you start talking about being persuasive, you got to be very careful that you're not doing that for the wrong reasons. Use it for good. Use it for good. Conceptualizing, my apologize. A servant leader is able to see the big picture beyond day-to-day operations. We foresee. I am very proactive. I'm always looking ahead, trying to figure out where something can lead to, or trying to figure out what somebody isn't doing so I can do it. We are very aware of conceptualizing and being able to see things and understand where something right now, where it can lead to, pros and cons. Next page, if I can flip it over. Healing. Servant leaders understand that they have the power to help heal broken spirits. It's wonderful to put a smile on someone's face. We never know what people are going through. And sometimes just to say good morning, hey, how you doing? Give someone a hug. Socially distance is COVID. Elbow bump, fist bump. But just, you never understand. I live in Texas, and we were always, people drive down the street, you wave, hey. It's kind of weird for people that don't live in Texas or weren't raised in Texas. But in Texas, people drive down the street and you're in the yard, Raised to raise your hand and wave. How you doing? And some people, they need that. You never know, you're in a grocery store and you just walk past someone, speak. You never know what a hello can do to someone's day when they're having a bad day, or they feel unloved, or they feel unwelcomed. So it doesn't make you hard or strong or this because you can walk past somebody and not speak. That just makes you just trifling. Speak sometimes. You never know what a hello can do to someone. Have a good day. Have a nice day. How is your day? Are you having a good day today? Those are phrases that when people feel unloved will just brighten their mood. So servant leaders know how to speak healing into people. Foresight works with conceptualization. Lord, that is a long tongue twister word. Servant leaders help to take past experiences and current realities to help, kind of have a proactive stance of what's going to happen in the future. So foresight and conceptualization, they go hand in hand. Okay. A commitment to the growth of people. We are not here to destroy. We are not here to, be leaders over zombies. Have you ever seen the graphic where you have the difference between a boss and a leader? And the boss is sitting on top of the little stand, and you have the subordinates or the followers up under him, and they have the thing on their shoulder, and they're walking, and the leader is sitting up there guiding them. I mean, the boss is sitting up there guiding them. And then you see the next frame, and the graphic is the leader is in front, in the very front, pulling, and the followers are behind them, and they have a hold too, and they're pulling, and the leader is guiding. You're trying to grow people. You're not trying to take, you're trying to instill in them, impart wisdom into them, help them grow as people, as parents, as community leaders, as community builders. Everything starts here, and then it branches out. Your intrinsic desire to fulfill and help someone else will actually guide out and reach out to others like roots in a tree. That tree will be the servant leadership, and you're that tree. But the branches out, that's your servant leadership abilities, reaching out, touching other people for good. Okay. And then stewardship. Servant leaders have a driving desire to serve the needs of others, and we do. I love helping kids. I love helping people when they're in need. You're not doing it to, like they say now, everybody, when they're helping, they want to show a picture, and take a picture. It's not about that. If you have to take a picture to show someone that you helped someone, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. There's nothing wrong with the picture. It's why you are taking the picture. Are you only doing this so you can take a picture to say, hey, I did this? You know how many people help people day in and day out, and there's never a word said about it? The guy, the football player, ex-football player that used to play for the Atlanta Falcons. Didn't he play for the Atlanta Falcons? He was from New Orleans. What? Warrick Dunn. Didn't he play for Atlanta? Did he play for New Orleans? Doesn't matter at this point. But Warrick Dunn in his hometown has helped so many women. He's built so many homes for women because of the way he was raised. He was raised in a single parent home, and things happened. And he said that when he got money, he wanted to help and give back. And that's what he's done. So he's gone out and has built homes over the years, so many homes for women who needed help. You don't ever see him on TV talking about it. Not nationally, maybe where he is, the local television station, maybe comes out and does some things, but you have to help people for the right reasons. It's not to make you look good. It's to help other people. Not for likes, but because it's the right thing to do. Building communities. Servant leaders understand that there can be harmony in the ability of small communities and large institutions working together for the good of all. So if you have a company in a community, and your company and the community doesn't know about your company, I don't care what you do. You could be a restaurant, you can be an electrician, you can be a telephone service provider. I don't care what you do. But if you have a company in your area of residence or in your metroplex or whatever, and people don't know about you, there's a problem. Once again, remember, you as a servant leader, or to be a servant leader, you have to get out amongst the people and let them know that you're there. And There's another far extreme of servant leadership called transformational leadership that we're going to branch off into. But that's kind of what it is. You're either a servant leader or you're not, or you're a transformational leader. And so if you call yourself a servant leader, then you make sure you're out in the community letting people know that you're there. Okay. And so the servant leader characteristics are considered learnable or natural leadership skills. Some of them are natural, they're inherent, they come in, they're from you. And then some are learnable. So the learnable skills are going to be the listening, persuasion, awareness, foresight, conceptualization, building community, and commitment to the growth of people. Those are 7 characteristics that can be taught. All of those are learnable, they can be taught. And then the other ones are going to be, these are your natural leadership skills. These are the ones that sometimes you're just born with these. Okay. Empathy, healing, and stewardship. I'm not saying that you can't be taught to be empathetic, but most often, if you don't have natural empathy about yourself, it comes off as fake when you try to be. And there are some people that just are not empathetic. Unfortunately, the yin yang. As much as you have people that are empathetic, you almost have as many who are not. Okay. So there are those, you have those skills that can be learnable and taught, and then you have some that are inherent and innate in you that they were there from birth. Okay. So you remember when I said there are 2 extremes. On one extreme, you have servant leadership, and on this extreme, you have trying to get in the camera. So you have servant leadership on this end, and then on this end, you have transformational leadership. They always say the opposite of a servant leader is a transformational leader. Well, in the last couple of years, transformational leadership as people have tried to take it and spin it to a positive light, but myself, transformational leaders are negative, and we're going to understand why. So as much as we have discussed what servant leaders are, transformational leaders are the exact opposite. Where servant leaders are servants first and leaders second, transformational leaders are leaders first and servants second. They don't even serve. If they serve at all, it's about that much. Okay. So once again, the primary difference between a servant leader and a transformational leader is that a servant leader is a servant first and a leader second, and their focus is on meeting the needs of their subordinate staff or followers as a priority catalyst to accomplishing organizational goals, or whatever type organization, sports team, whatever. You can replace organization with whatever you're doing. Transformational leaders are leaders first and may or may not be servants at all, and they place company leadership and organizational goals as top priority over their subordinates through the use of motivational techniques. Hold on, y'all. I had split it over. Uh, of their supportive staff. I wanted to make sure I was reading it right. So with that in mind, you're saying that your transformational leaders are, let's think of a sales department. You have a sales manager and they have employees, sales representatives up under them, where their job is to sell the services of the company they work for. Let's say it's an internet service provider. So you have this department, they're inside sales. That means people are calling in asking about the products and wanting to, maybe sign up or whatnot. And the servant leader is that sales rep manager. Their job is to make sure that all of their sales reps are meeting their monthly sales goals. Well, what can happen there? You have some really good sellers where they can just, they have the ability, they have some type of innate abilities to sell. They're good sellers. They don't have to lie. They're just genuinely good sellers. But for the most part, there are people who don't have really good salesmanship skills, and they will lie. They will get people to buy things that they don't necessarily need because they need to meet a quota. That's kind of where transformational leadership comes in. If you think of a servant leader would never be a sales rep. I'm not going to say never, but you really won't find them in those departments because those departments are not conducive to servant leadership skills. Okay. Transformational leadership skills are conducive to being a sales manager or a sales rep, because you're going to have to make decisions to do things that a servant leader probably will not. It's not within us to do. And that's to be unethical and try to sell people things that they don't need just because you need to trying to get a commission, or you're trying to get a bonus, or you're trying to meet a sales quota. Okay. So transformational leaders put company goals first. And servant leaders put people goals first. That's the extreme. Company goals, people goals, servant leadership, transformational leadership. Okay. And so I'm not saying that transformational leadership is bad. I'm just saying that it is the exact opposite of being a servant leader. And there are some people, they will say that opposing views, they will say that servant leadership is something that's idealistic and hard to operationalize. Well, it's hard because it's a qualitative thing. Like I said, you can't really define love. You can't really define respect. You can't really define those types of terms. You can quantify how much money you gave somebody. You can quantify how many sales you made. You can quantify how much commission you made. You can quantify the type of job, you went out and bought this car, you can do that. So servant leadership is not easy to describe. So people don't, we tend not to believe things that we can't understand, but we believe love though. Interesting. They say that servant leadership is not empirically proven and simply stated. You can't quantify servant leadership, so no, you can't attach a number to it, and you can't put a percentage on it, and you can't say this many people are out of this number, or a ratio of something, because there's nothing to do that. This is a holistic thing that you're looking about, caring about somebody more than you are attaching a number or a dollar figure to them. Also, some people say that servant leadership is a dream theorized that would be hard to conceptualize and implement with those who are inexperienced and do not understand the concept of being a servant. That is true. But any leadership style is also the same way. Transformational leaders, they are taught to be that way. They are taught to be hard and uncaring, and to put the needs of a company over that. And that's why we have so many problems in corporate America now. People are being taught to use employees, and employees are expendable. We come learn, there are very few people that don't know how to care, that have no ability to care, and they tend to be not good people. For the most part, we care about others, so you have to be trained to not care about somebody. Okay. So servant leadership, any leadership style, is hard to conceptualize if you're not into it. So if it's something, when people tell you about something and you say, hey, I want to do that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to start to read and figure out everything you can about that leadership style. Is what you subscribe to. So that's not really a thing, because any leadership style is hard to conceptualize when you're inexperienced as a leader, period. And then servant leadership is viewed as a religious theory. It's born because it's born out of ethics and morality, and those tend to be things that go hand in hand with religious practices and how we treat other people. I don't see it as religious. It kind of correlates with it, but to each his own. And then sometimes servant leadership is seen as, unfortunately, being enslaved. Servant, get it? I'm going to go on past that. And then transformational leaderships or leaders will see servant leaders as soft. Oh, y'all can't do this because you care too much. You can't go out and do this because you care too much. I told someone earlier, I can't charge parents unnecessarily for things just to increase the numbers of people in my program. I get it. You want the revenue coming in, but if you do it the right way, you have longevity versus trying to grab everything up front because you're scared it's not going to be there. Do right by the people and they'll keep coming back. How about that? So we got about a minute and a half left. And so to summarize, servant leadership is a servant first, leader second theory. It is holistic and qualitative, and it requires a leader to put their followers or employees' needs first in order to fulfill goals. Take care of your people, and the rest will fall into place. Servant leadership skills are both inherently acquired and learnable. Servant leadership is on the other end of the spectrum from transformational leadership, where company goals are placed ahead of everything else. Critics state that servant leadership is not empirically proven and idealistic, so many don't believe in it. And then the characteristics of servant leadership are listening, empathy, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, commitment to the growth of people, healing, stewardship, and building community. If you remember those things and you decide that you want to be a servant leader, just go out and look up on it. Go on the internet and Google servant leadership, and it'll give you everything to get started. And if you need anything or ever want to contact me, you can always email me at 800 Educator or Bridgette, BRID as in dog, GETTE at TICommunities.com, and I can help you get going. I got about 10 seconds, so I'm going to say you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Next week, we'll be talking about family engagement again. Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.